Hi, welcome back to Sports Madness. This is part two here. We're going to talk a little bit about the Eastern Conference playoffs now in the NBA. Cleveland Cavaliers, they're on cruise control right now, man. They've won their first 9 games of the playoffs, and not a whole lot of them have been very close at all. They took game 1 here in the Eastern Conference Final by 31 points over Toronto, 115-84. And of course, people talking about, the Cavaliers, it's going to be a repeat of the NBA Final from last year. And I agree. I agree with those who say that. Initially, before the playoffs started, I had Toronto coming out of the East. They've just been entirely too inconsistent. They cannot beat this Cleveland team. Cleveland's on a mission right now. But I'm hearing some ridiculousness coming out of the East right now. There is on ESPN's Mike and Mike this morning, for instance, because I've kind of been hearing some rumblings about it, and now people are starting to say it, and it's ridiculous every time I hear it, and it gets more ridiculous. And when I start hearing professionals saying it, I just have to shake my head. This morning on Mike and Mike on ESPN, John Sally said that the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to sweep the entire playoffs. That they were going to sweep Toronto, and that they're going to sweep Golden State or Oklahoma City in the NBA Final. Stop. Just stop. Just stop. That's ridiculous. It's irresponsible. And how you can be a professional journalist and say something like that it's utter ridiculousness. First of all, they're not going to sweep Toronto. The reason that I'm going against my original pick and saying Toronto is not going to, because I originally said, again, that Toronto was going to go out of the East and make it to the NBA Final. I don't think that. The reason that I don't believe they're going to make it is the reason why they will get at least one from Cleveland. They may only get one, but they're going to get at least one from Cleveland, is because of their inconsistency. Well, they only scored 84 points in game 1 of the conference final. They were outscored by, I want to say 20 or 19 in the second half of that series. After giving up 66 first half, when Cleveland scored 115 points. Cleveland is not a 115-point-a-game team. They just aren't. And Toronto's a pretty fair, better than fair defensive team. So that was an aberration. Just like San Antonio, Oklahoma City game 1, when the Spurs won by 8,000 or whatever it was a total aberration. This is an aberration too. Cleveland is better than Toronto. I will say that. They're the better team in this series. They're not 31 points a game better, though. And it's ridiculous to say that Cleveland, not only are they going to sweep Toronto, but they're going to sweep Golden State or Oklahoma City. Come on. They will be lucky to win 2 games against either of those teams. And so, to sit here and say, well, Cleveland's going to sweep the entire playoffs, that's bull. There's no way. Cleveland has no shot of sweeping the entire playoffs. They're not better than that Lakers team that went 16-1. They're not better than the 99 Spurs team that went 16-2. They're just not. And and people talk about, well, the league is watered down. Yes, the league is watered down. The league is watered down. Is Golden State, if the NBA is still strong like it had been in years past, is Golden State a 73-win team? Probably not. No. San Antonio this year, 67-15, tremendous year. That was not a 67-win team, and we saw that in the playoffs. There were too many inconsistencies, but there are so few really good elite teams in the NBA anymore that you can have an inflated record. You can go 73-9. You can go 67-15. You can do that and still not be all that good. Now, Golden State, they're that good. Now, again, I don't think they're a 73-win team in all era of NBA basketball, but they're certainly a championship caliber team in any era. They are. Their ball movement is good. Their defense is solid. Their shooting is lights out. San Antonio had issues from the beginning. And those of you who have followed me for any amount of time know that I've documented that very well. I noticed starting the first game of the regular season that the Spurs were having issues with ball movement. They were having issues with perimeter defense. And I got laughed out of the place. All year long, though, it kept coming up, kept coming up, kept coming up. And finally, at the end of the season, what betrayed the Spurs? Lack of ball movement, lack of perimeter defense. The things that I've been screaming about all year long. Well, in a weaker era, you can get by with those things, win 67 games, but when it comes right down to it, and you are playing the elites night after night after night, those things are going to turn around and bite you. Cleveland, they play in the East. The East is not as strong as the West. It hasn't been for a number of years. They have a cakewalk all the way to the finals, just like Miami did before them. They have a cakewalk all the way to the finals. Just because they're demolishing the teams out east does not mean that they're going to demolish the teams out west. It's just not going to happen. There's a reason that LeBron James is 2-4. Or is he 2-5? He was 2-4, I guess. 2-4. Let me see. San Antonio, Dallas, San Antonio, Cleveland. No, I'm sorry. Golden State. Because he went to 4 in a row. Okay. Well, there's a reason that he does not have a good record in the NBA Finals. I want to say it's 11-20, maybe something like that. Record in NBA Finals games. It's because the East isn't as good as the West. Now, and let me go here. I'm not going to sit here and say that LeBron James is not ultra talented. He's very talented. The thing is, and you'll hear me say they've got to do a wardrobe adjustment here. That's bothering me. Yeah, that's not working. All right, we'll just have to deal with it. I'll wear a different shirt next time. But I think the perceptions on LeBron James are completely wrong. I do. I think they're completely wrong from both those who think he's God and from those who think he stinks. You know, there's 3 sides of the story. There's my side, your side, and the truth is somewhere in the middle. Well, that's what's going on here. LeBron James, if you remember back to when he was drafted, why was he drafted so highly, even coming out of high school? It wasn't for his shooting. He was a good shooter. It wasn't for his build. He's got a good build. Excuse me, always has had. So those of you who are on the whole LeBron James is on steroids thing, stop. He's always been a behemoth. He always has been. But he was drafted because of his passing and his court vision. That's where the whole we're witnesses thing came from. We're witnessing this. That was where it came from, was from his court vision. And that's why people wanted him so badly. He worked hard to develop his game, became a very good player. LeBron James is not the best player in the NBA. He never has been the best player in the NBA. He's certainly not in the same category as Michael Jordan. Certainly not in the same category as Kobe Bryant. And something that I think if people I don't want to say people forget about, but I think people don't really think about. There's a reason that LeBron James does not go out west. He was drafted in Cleveland. Obviously, he's going to stay in Cleveland because, well, that was where he was drafted. When he left, he could have gone out west. Lakers wanted him, had room for him. He didn't want to go out west. He went to Miami. Well, when he got tired of losing Miami, he went back to Cleveland. Again, he could have gone out west. The Clippers wanted him. Lakers still want him. Portland wanted him. Well, everybody. He's LeBron James, a great player. There's a reason he doesn't go out west, because he knows that he's a smart guy. He's a smart guy. He knows that if he went out west, that he'd suddenly become very average. And here's what I mean by that. 4 times a year having to go against Kawhi Leonard. 4 times a year having to go against Kevin Durant. 4 times a year having to go against Draymond Green. 4 times a year having to go against Danny Green. 4 times a year having to go against Greg Popovich, Steve Kerr, Terry Stotts, Tyson Chandler 4 times a year. Dirk Nowitzki 4 times a year. He would not be the player out west that he is out east. Well, people will say, oh, look at his averages. His averages are the same against the West and the East. Well, sure they are. He plays them half as often. LeBron James is not a blip on their radar in the Western Conference. They don't game plan for him like they do out East. Out East, they build teams to stop LeBron James. Out West, they don't care. Because there are 10 LeBron Jameses out West. And I'm not saying that LeBron James is not good, but I'm saying he's not that good. But, and here's the flip side of that. Lest you say that I'm a LeBron hater, I am not a LeBron hater at all. I think he's a phenomenal talent. I think he's a great passer. I think if he went out west, he would not embarrass himself, and I think he would certainly help any team that he went to out west. People talk about, there was some talk about maybe the San Antonio Spurs wanting him, and the Spurs said, no, we don't want LeBron James. Bull. If LeBron James said, I want to wear the silver and black, I want to play for Greg Popovich, he would guarantee San Antonio not 1, not 2, not 3. You're talking eons of championships in San Antonio if LeBron James goes there. He's not going to San Antonio. Why? Because he doesn't want to go out west. He doesn't want to have to face Kevin Durant 4 times, Kawhi Leonard 4 times, Draymond Green 4 times. He doesn't want to have to do that. He doesn't want to have to mess with that. Having said all of that, Kyrie Leonard is playing out of his mind in this postseason. Kevin Love has rediscovered himself. He's very effective. He's not happy in Cleveland. That's no secret. He's probably gone after this year. But he's rediscovered his game out there. David Blatt was screwed. But Tyronn Lue is doing a good job. And he's not afraid to put LeBron James in his place. No coach in LeBron's career has ever done that, including in high school. And Tyronn Lue is putting him in his place. He's making him be coached. Cleveland is healthy, which they were not last year in the playoffs, especially as they got to the latter rounds. They're going to be healthy, barring some injury, and I certainly, I don't want to wish injury on anybody. I would love to see a healthy Cleveland versus a healthy Golden State or a healthy Oklahoma City in the NBA final. I think it's going to be Cleveland and Golden State rematch of last year. I'm sorry. Golden State is too fast, too strong, and too good. Even if LeBron James goes for 60 every night, they're not winning more than 1. Unless Kyrie Irving also averages like 40 a night. That's the end of part 2. When we come back, we got part 3 coming up here. We're going to talk a little bit of Major League Baseball. We're going to talk NHL playoffs coming up as well. Got a little bit of World Cup to talk about. The Olympics are just around the corner, so we're getting ready for that too. It's a busy time in sports right now. So we'll take a quick break, and we will come back with parts 3 of Vaughn Sports Madness here in just a moment.